As with the other speeches that we've done thus far in this class, the very first thing that we have to do is the introduction. And the very first thing that you do in an introduction is the attention getter. Now, the attention getter is going to be a little bit different for this speech because with other speeches, you usually start with some kind of story or statistic or something like that. And it's not to say you can't do that with the communication analysis speech, but generally speaking, the most effective attention getter that you can have in a communication analysis speech is simply to start by briefly describing your artifact. Because if your artifact is interesting enough, then it should draw your audience in right from the very beginning. And so you can start off by describing the protest or the speech or the television show that you are going to be dissecting in your speech. And one of the things that you want to accomplish in your introduction is to provide the context that surrounds the artifact that you have selected. Let's say, for example, that you are giving a speech about Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. You might provide some context talking about the growing desire for racial equality and the event of the March on Washington, just to provide your audience with some background as to how and when the speech was given. After you have your attention getter, one of the biggest goals in your introduction is to present a research question to your audience. The research question basically unpacks the idea that you are trying to explore. And so you might take a look at Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech and ask the research question of whether the speech was effective or how we can use critical race theory to better understand the speech, those sorts of things. And so you're just laying out the question that you are trying to answer throughout your speech. And the final job that you have in the introduction is to preview your main points. Now, for us, the main points are going to be theory, artifact, and implications. So your preview statement is going to sound something like this. First, we'll unpack the theory, then apply that theory to the artifact, before finally exploring the implications of the artifact. This is not very different from a preview statement that you would have given in your other speeches. You just have to preview what those main points are. So the first thing you have to do is describe what your artifact is in your attention getter, then ask your research question, before finally previewing all of your main points.